President Trump berated the Georgia Secretary of State on a phone call with him that leaked, and he effectively asked him to overturn the results of the election.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that, Brad. You know, I mean, having a correct. The people of Georgia are angry, and these numbers are going to be repeated on Monday night, along with others that we're going to have by that time, which are much more substantial even. And the people of Georgia are angry. The people of the country are angry, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. You know, that you've recalculated.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
Now, do you think it's possible that they shredded ballots in Fulton County? Because that's what the rumor is. And also that Dominion took out machines. That Dominion is really moving fast to get rid of their machinery. Do you know anything about that? Because that's illegal.
This is Ryan, Germany. No, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of Fulton County. We're having.
Well, but have they moved? Have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
No.
You sure, Ryan?
I'm sure.
You should want to have an accurate election, and you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have. Not even close. You're off by hundreds of thousands of votes. You know what they did, and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense, and you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. That's a big risk. But they are shredding ballots, in my opinion, based on what I've heard, and they are removing machinery, and they're moving it as fast as they can, both of which are criminal fines, and you can't let it happen, and you are letting it happen. I'm notifying you that you're letting it happen. So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state. So tell me, Brad, what are we going to do? We won the election, and it's not fair to take it away from us like this. And it's going to be very costly in many ways. And I think you have to say that you're going to re-examine it, and you can re-examine it, but re-examine it with people that want to find answers, not people that don't want to find answers. For instance, I'm hearing Ryan, and he's probably, I'm sure, a great lawyer and everything, but he's making statements about those ballots that he doesn't know. But he's making them with such, he did make them with surety, but now I think he's less sure, because the answer is they all went to Biden. And that alone wins us the election by a lot. So.
Mr. President, you have people that submit information, and we have our people that submit information, and then it comes before the court, and the court then has to make a determination. We have to stand by our numbers. We believe our numbers are right.
Well, under law, you're not allowed to give faulty election results, okay? You're not allowed to do that, and that's what you've done. This is a faulty election result. And honestly, this should go very fast. You should meet tomorrow, because you have a big election coming up, and because of what you've done to the president, the people of Georgia know that this was a scam. And because of what you've done to the president, a lot of people aren't going out to vote. And a lot of Republicans are going to vote negative because they hate what you did to the president. Okay? They hate it. And they're going to vote. And if you would be respected, if this thing could be straightened out before the election. You have a big election coming up on Tuesday.
Wow. That was incredible. I have to say, I always come back to this main point. I genuinely don't know if he has convinced himself that everything he's saying there is true and real, or if he's lying and he knows that he's lying. You know what I mean? I'm really curious as to the inner workings of that peanut brain. I'm really, really curious. What do you guys think? Do you think he's saying these things and he knows he's completely full of shit? Or do you think he's like actually convinced himself that he did win the election and that what he's saying is true? I mean, again, that's the question that I always keep coming back to, and I feel like I have a definitive answer every other week, and every other week I change my mind and flip my position on it. I just try to go wherever the evidence takes me, and the evidence has taken me in 1,000 different directions. So I like the part where at the beginning, the guy says he basically says Mr. President, you're just wrong. That's my favorite part. I enjoyed that part. Trump talks about shredded ballots, and the guys are like, What are you talking about? By the way, this is the Georgia Secretary of State. He's a Republican, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Then Trump asks him, hey, have they removed the inner parts of the Dominion voting machines and replaced them with other parts? And the guy's like, no. And Trump's like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. I mean, this is embarrassing at this point because we all know the dynamics of some of this stuff. The dynamics are Trump is drunk on One America News Network and Newsmax, and he's drunk on maybe even at this point, straight up QAnon stuff. He just went on a tweet storm the other day where he was retweeting some of the top QAnon people. So, I don't know, man. I do not know exactly what's going on in his mind, but what he's doing here is going full conspiracy theorist, because it's how he meets his emotional needs, where he feels like, oh, I wasn't rejected. It's all this giant conspiracy. And then the part that everybody else is talking about, rightfully so, is Trump saying, I just want to find 11,780 votes. I like a tweet. I forget who said it, but it was really funny. They were like, Trump's looking for about 12,000 votes like it's a lost remote. That's how he's casually talking about it. I mean, he really is asking the Georgia Secretary of State, who's a Republican, to just overturn the will of the people. That's what he's doing. Saying, hey, I don't care that you did the count. I think they recounted it at least once, maybe twice. The election results are certified. I don't care about any of that. I want you to intervene, even though the results are already certified through the Electoral College. I want you to intervene and overthrow it. I just want you to find 11,780 votes. Then, of course, Trump lies and says that alone wins us the election by a lot. I don't, what is he talking about? Dude, Biden has 306 electoral votes, just like you had against Hillary. That's not close. That's a somewhat comfortable popular, not just popular vote margin of victory, but Electoral College victory. In terms of the popular vote, Biden wins by 7 million, over 7 million votes. That's a lot to win by. But again, the Electoral College, 306 electoral votes. You only need 270 to win. He's comfortably in there. What are you going to do? Force your way into overturning 3 or 4 states so that you can win? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And then, listen, the ultimate point there, remember, this is a Republican attorney or a Republican Secretary of State on the phone. What does he say at the end there? He says, Mr. President, this has been adjudicated in court. Basically, what he's saying is, you had your day in court. You had your time to prove your case. It's not like you made all these allegations and then you were forced to move on from it without having those, explored. That's not what happened. What happened was we explored them. It went to court. There were over 50 court cases. The last time I checked, the Trump people won one case of over 50 court cases, and the one case was on some procedural nonsense. It didn't really affect anything in an important way. So, I mean, stop and think about that. You had your day in court, over 50 court cases, you lost, and this is what you're doing now? But the final point is, as scary as his intentions are, and clearly his intentions are scary because he just wants to be an authoritarian and override the democratic will of the people, what you have to understand is the other part of this call is sheer buffoonery. It's sheer buffoonery. In other words, he has the intention to be anti-democratic and authoritarian and overthrow the election results, but he does not have the shrewdness, the cleverness. He does not have the intellectual capabilities where you plan out in advance and you get military members on your side. In fact, there was a I think a Washington Post op-ed that came out yesterday where 10 of the former defense secretaries were like, the election's over, it's going to be Biden, get over it. And, there was that general who gave the speech who basically said, this thing is over. So if you lose the military, ain't no coup going to happen, dog. And he doesn't have the wherewithal and the foresight and the ability to think a couple moves ahead. So of course he's not, nothing's going to come of this. Again, I agree with the people who are melting down over this fact. His intentions are there, and his intentions are terrible. He actually would, if he could, just casually overthrow the democratic will of the people and be an authoritarian and stay in office. He 100% would do that. And I don't think there's any reason to downplay that instinct. That's not okay. And we can't overlook that. And there's plenty of strikes against him for that alone. But where I part with a lot of people is, you don't necessarily need to be as hair on fire as if it actually has a chance of working, because it just doesn't, because he's a buffoon. And that call is just it's also comical on top of being I don't know what the other word I should use for it is, but it's comical on top of being scary, I guess. Although I'm not sure scary is the exact right word, but I think you get the point. But anyway, I know that this point is made too much by too many people, and it's often invoked in situations where it doesn't fit. But in this situation, I think it does fit. Imagine any other president before him did this. People would be like, holy shit, this is the biggest scandal ever. With Trump, it's going to be in the news for 2 days, and then it's going to be out of the news. And then he'll replace it with some other nonsense thing. So I guess everybody should rest assured that at least there are so many Republicans across the country. It's true. It's not just the Democrats, and it's not just the independents who are like, all right, dude, get over it. I told you, in my own family, I had hardcore Trump supporters who've now turned on him and are just like, you lost. Get over it, son. And you're seeing this from the Georgia Secretary of State. You're seeing this from a number of Republican senators. There are some that are siding with Trump and will side with Trump, but it's at least half of the Republicans, or maybe even a little more, who are not going to waver on this and are going to say, yeah, whatever, even if I liked him in terms of policy, he can't just throw a tantrum and override, the most important aspects of our constitutional Republican representative democracy. So there you have it. President Toddler throwing his little tantrum, equal parts scary and equal parts comical phone call.